You're listening to World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world. And here are your hosts, Aingeal Rose and Ahonu.
You are very welcome. I am Ahonu, and with me is my lovely Aingeal Rose. Now, many of you will know that over the last several weeks, we have been conducting a chakra experience. And it's like a mini workshop that we're conducting in our local area here with a small select group of people. And the whole idea is that we go through the chakras one by one. But what has been very interesting about this is that all the times our preconceived ideas are being knocked on the head by what we're finding and what Aingeal Rose is bringing through the Akashic records. So we had this idea that we were going to go through the chakras as we know them, the base chakra, the sacral, all of that, all the way up to the crown. But what has happened has been something that's very, very different indeed. It seems that Source through the Akashic records has a very different idea of what the chakras are. And this is why we called it the Chakra Experience. And it has been quite a mind-numbing experience, actually. Now, it's not the purpose of this session today to go through that chakra experience, except to say that over the last few nights, we've been practicing these different meditations in the different chakras. And one of the questions that has been asked is to explore yourself as a spark of spirit, let's call it, or a spark of intelligence, or a unit of consciousness, as it appears in its origin. So in other words, in your mind's eye, as it were, you're going back out into the cosmos, you're going back to the origin of where you are out there, wherever, and trying to conceptualize it in your own head or identify with that aspect of yourself in its origins. And it's a really, really, I find anyway, a very difficult thing to do. And that's the purpose why we want to bring this into a little discussion today. And Aingeal Rose, actually, as a result of that experience last night, has come up with a very interesting possibility around that.
Well, Ahonu, this is kind of complex, but briefly, we take a journey out into the cosmic womb and try to locate ourselves before we were ever incarnate. And then we come down through the silver cord into a body and we look at our purpose. And like you mentioned, there's 6 weeks of this now, and every time we do it, we find that we are eliminating more and more distortions, let's just say genetic distortions, conceptual distortions, things like that, to the point where we are now at a place where we're writing the original fire letters of God in ourselves. So when we go back and we start from the beginning again, which is what we did last night, we went back to the Chakra 1 meditation, I found that I had a difficult time locating a reason why I came into incarnation, where that wasn't the case the very first time we did it.
Well, that was the critical question, wasn't it? Why did you come into this incarnation?
Right.
To ask yourself, what is that reason? What was the motivator?
Right. What were you doing?
Yeah.
But what happened after we did it was all of a sudden I got this flash, this image of all of humanity, the billions of people that are here, and our astrology. Now, I have to preface it to say that I'm not one who has studied astrology. I've had a couple astrology readings in my life, but of all the spiritual things I've done, that was not a focus. Astrology was not a focus. So it's very unusual for me to be getting information about astrology.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm the same. I never had any interest in studying astrology. For me, it seemed to be a very kind of a superficial understanding of what was going on in our lives, and maybe that's coming from the days of the back page of the newspaper where you read your
your
chart,
little horoscope.
Yeah, and it could be coming from that. But I have to say, I never had any deeper interest other than that.
Yeah, and I think my own rebellious nature had always looked at astrology like, well, somebody would say, well, this is kind of an absolute. You have your design and your map, and this is what's going to happen and unfold.
And you were saying,
And I
no
was
way.
saying, no way. Yeah, yeah. But now I have to say, in light of what I got last night, I have a very different perception.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got last night was, like I said, I was shown billions of people, everybody on the planet who is born at everyone is born at a very unique moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
The date, the time, all of that, the year, everything.
And the cosmos is in a particular position.
It is.
In those moments.
That's
yes.
right. So everybody has their own varying degrees
Mm-hmm.
of things in their chart. Everybody's very unique.
Mm.
And what I was told was that based on what your astrology is at the moment that you're born, those are your ingredients that make up your job.
Yes.
And the job being that every single being alive on the planet is here to evolve the planet. They're to evolve life in some way. So you're given degrees of particular things and aspects of particular things, and not limited to Earth. In other words, the planetary influences that are in your chart, the alignments that are going on, those are your ingredients. Those are your things to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to go back to our friend in Ireland, Philip Kearns, who does Vedic astrology. I'm going to contact him and relook at my chart now, because now I'm very curious as to what were the varying planets that influenced me, in what degrees,
Yes.
and what was going on in the cosmos, because it's suggesting that whatever my combination of things is, that's my life purpose, to evolve the world with those aspects, to see what are they, what are the problems, what are the gifts, and look at how, if you were going to evolve those into a higher state, what would that be like? So now I'm coming at it from a totally different perspective, a universal perspective.
Sure. I think it's fair to say, and as I said, I've been looking at this from a very superficial perspective too, but I think it's fair to say, because I'm an Aquarian, so I have Aquarian attributes, let's say. And I think everybody knows that an Aquarian is quite different to a Sagittarian or a... So there are aspects that people have, that people accept and understand, albeit on a superficial level. And then
generally,
in general, yes, in general. In other words, a Leo person has quite different personality than an Aries
Capricorn.
or a Capricorn. Yeah, and in general, that I think is fair to say is true. So therefore, there must be something. There must be something to it. Now, I am going to venture a little bit further, and I think that in general, we have accepted that. Let's take millennials as an example. We talk politically about millennials, and we say, oh, the millennials are now buying houses and they're influencing our economy now, let's say. Or the baby boomers. The baby boomers are costing the healthcare system now, or whatever. But the fact is, those people who were born at that point in time are having an influence on the world now. So therefore, what you're doing is you're refining it. You're saying not only the people born in that year, you're saying the people born in that moment.
In the moment. Everybody's got a unique combination or a unique ingredients to their piece of their responsibility to the universe.
Right now, that's impacting us.
Right now.
Right. Well, in fact,
it impacts evolution. Because depending on what you do with those ingredients determines, do you evolve the planet into a higher place, or do you regress the planet?
Yes.
And I think it's an investigation now on my part, where I'm going to be looking at my own astrology map quite differently. And this is going to be a work in progress, obviously, because I don't understand degrees and aspects and all of that. And this is why I'm going to consult Philip about it. But now I'm looking at it from a whole different purpose on our relationship to the universe. Every person here on Earth has a unique relationship to the whole cosmos. And whatever that combination of map is, where the challenges are and the refinement has to happen. It isn't only, what I'm realizing, it's not only about your own personal soul and your own personal personality, that we each what I was told was we each are responsible for evolving the planet.
Right.
Planets in our solar system and their influence, the whole enchilada, if you will. So I'm going to be investigating this from a really different perspective, and we'll have to report to people what we find.
Yes.
But that phrase just came in by the end of that meditation that we did last night.
And also for people to look forward to something that we will be developing this chakra experience into a kind of an online course or workshop, because there's no doubt that the information that's coming through on it about our preconceived ideas about what we think the chakras are is really mind-bending, and it's very opening.
Well, it's because it's dictated by source through the Akashic records, and our plan originally was to go through a 15-dimensional chakra explanation, with each week being a journey into chakra 1, and then week 2 being chakra 2. When we went in and asked Source about it, it was a totally different plan.
Yeah.
It does not go in order like that. It's ending up being a total cleansing and remapping of our physical selves. And the meditations are just so deep, aren't they?
They are.
And they really get to a lot of deep things.
Well, we will bring more information about that as time goes on, as that develops and grows. But for right now, we leave it there. We just wanted to announce really that little breakthrough that we got from our experience last night.
That was quite
so
a breakthrough.
Stay tuned, and we will be back to you again next week. We look forward to speaking to you then. And thank you from myself, Ahonu, and from Aingeal Rose.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Aingeal Rose and Ahonu on World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world.